Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating, deeply human mystery, the biological realities behind our most frustrating relationship patterns. We're going to look at the hard science of why certain toxic dynamics feel so incredibly intoxicating, and more importantly, how we can actually break free from them. Let's get into it.
So, have you ever felt literally addicted to an unpredictable partner? If you've ever found yourself endlessly chasing someone who just keeps pulling away, or on the flip side, if you've ever felt this overwhelming need to build a massive wall the second someone gets too close to you, well, you're definitely not alone. And the best news? You aren't crazy. Your brain is simply following a survival script that was written a very long time ago.
Section 1. The Anxious-Avoidant Trap. The Pursuer versus the Distancer.
Okay, so what exactly is the anxious-avoidant trap? At its core, it's an exhausting dynamic where two people with fundamentally opposing insecure attachment styles get locked into an endless loop. And look, this isn't just a communication issue. It's a clash of deeply ingrained relational blueprints built way back in early childhood. It's literally the unconscious operating system your nervous system uses for relationships, constructed before you could even speak.
To break it down, on one side, you have the pursuer. This person typically has an anxious attachment style. They crave emotional intimacy and really need constant reassurance. On the exact opposite side, we have the distancer. This is someone with an avoidant attachment style. They heavily value their independence and are terrified of emotional suffocation. So when these two get together, the pursuer naturally leans in, which overwhelms the distancer, causing them to pull away. That sudden withdrawal triggers the pursuer's fear of abandonment, making them push even harder, which just makes the distancer run even faster. It's basically a perfect, self-sustaining storm.
Section 2. Biology of the Pursuer. The Hypervigilant Brain. If you tend to lean anxious, you probably recognize a specific set of tactics we call protest behaviors. We're talking about overanalyzing a delayed text message for hours, needing frequent reassurance, or maybe even picking a fight just to force some kind of engagement. Sometimes it's suddenly acting cold just to see if your partner will chase you. Now, from the outside, this looks like clinginess or unnecessary drama, but it's actually a desperate attempt to soothe an intense underlying fear of abandonment.
Here's the truly wild part, though. These behaviors aren't character flaws. The proof is in your biology. For the anxiously attached person, the nervous system is completely dysregulated in these moments. The amygdala, which is your brain's primal threat detector, is working overtime. It is quite literally processing emotional distance as a physical threat to your survival. Think about it like this. Your brain has been conditioned to treat a delayed text as a literal threat to your social safety. You aren't being clingy, your brain is just trying to protect you from being abandoned. Understanding this is absolutely crucial. If you're the pursuer, your intense reactions are just a biological protective mechanism. Knowing that really helps take the shame out of the equation. Section 3. Biology of the Distancer. The Invisible Wall. Now let's flip it. The distancer has their own set of survival tactics, known as deactivating strategies. It's essentially how they flip the emotional switch to off. They suppress their feelings, withdraw the second there's conflict, nitpick their partner as an excuse to create space, and aggressively pull away the moment things feel too close. They are unconsciously building this invisible wall. Why? Because early on they learned that relying on others just leads to pain, so extreme self-reliance became their armor. And just like the pursuer, the distancer's actions are backed by hard biological proof. But here's the major difference. For the avoidant partner, the threat response isn't triggered by distance, it's triggered by intimacy. When someone gets emotionally close to them, it sets off a massive physiological stress response. The biological reality is pretty stark. When an avoidant feels close to someone, their brain is flooded with cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Their body literally interprets intimacy as a trap. So when the distancer pulls away, it isn't necessarily because they don't love you or because they're playing a malicious game. It is a completely overwhelming biological reaction to perceived suffocation. Their body is screaming at them to flee. Section 4. The Slot Machine Effect. The Neuroscience of Unpredictable Love. So why is this dynamic so incredibly hard to walk away from? The answer is a concept called intermittent reinforcement. It's a behavioral psychology principle where rewards, in this case affection and connection, are given unpredictably. Classic studies by B.F. Skinner prove that unpredictable rewards create way stronger, far more persistent behavioral responses than consistent rewards. It is the exact same psychology that makes a casino slot machine so addictive.
You don't know when the payout is coming, so you just keep pulling the lever.
This intermittent reinforcement actually builds a literal neurochemical addiction in your brain, and it happens in 3 predictable steps. First, withdrawal. The partner distances themselves, flooding your body with cortisol, which causes sheer panic. Next comes reconciliation. The partner suddenly returns with warmth. Boom, your brain releases oxytocin, creating an overwhelming sense of relief and bonding. And finally, the hook. Your dopamine spikes wildly because the reward was entirely unpredictable. You get biologically hooked on that chaotic swing from distress right back to relief.
We usually think of dopamine as a pleasure chemical, right? But it's actually a pursuit chemical. Its job is to motivate you to go after things. And it spikes the absolute highest during the anticipation of unpredictable rewards. Here's the thing, dopamine doesn't know the difference between a genuinely healthy partner and a chaotic, toxic one. It just inherently loves the novelty, the chase, and the uncertainty of it all.
I want you to really let this profound aha moment sink in. The spark you feel during reconciliation isn't evidence of a deeper connection. It's just your dopamine system responding to uncertainty. All that intense chemistry you feel when you finally make up after a terrible fight, it isn't a sign that you're soulmates. It's just a simple variable ratio dopamine response. Your brain is literally mistaking the relief of escaping stress for true love.
And we have to talk about where this can lead, because this isn't just about heartache. Clinical data, like this study from the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy, explores the very real associations between attachment insecurity and intimate partner violence, driven by deep relationship dissatisfaction. What the data neutrally highlights is that a toxic pursuer-distancer cycle goes far beyond just being emotionally exhausting. Unchecked attachment avoidance, when paired with high relationship dissatisfaction, is actually a leading risk marker for severe psychological and physical escalation. The avoidant partner pulling away can provoke extreme frantic protest behaviors from the anxious partner, and conversely, those intense demands can provoke an avoidant partner to aggressively establish distance. Breaking these dysregulated loops is absolutely critical for the safety and well-being of both people.
Section 5. Breaking the cycle. The path to earned security.
So, how do we actually get out of this? Psychologists call the way out earned security. First, you have to stop the intermittent reinforcement cycle entirely. That often means setting strict boundaries or even taking space from the dynamic. Second, you have to practice nervous system regulation. You have to learn how to self-soothe rather than completely outsourcing your emotional safety to your partner. Third, you accumulate corrective emotional experiences. And finally, you have to build a tolerance for secure, predictable relationships, which honestly, it might feel kind of boring to your dopamine system at first. The catch here is that just understanding this conceptually isn't going to fix it overnight. Rewiring implicit memory takes real repetition. Because these attachment patterns live deep in the amygdala and limbic system, the nonverbal instinctual parts of your brain, updating them requires slow, steady, and repeated, safe relational experiences over a long period of time. You can't just watch an explainer and instantly change. You have to physically reshape those neural pathways through consistent, safe actions.
But I want to leave you with this incredibly empowering thought. Attachment isn't a life sentence. It's neuroplasticity in action. Your brain has the remarkable, scientifically proven capacity to physically adapt and reshape itself for healthy, stable love, no matter what you learned in childhood or what you've had to endure in past relationships.
So I'll leave you with this question. Are your relationships running on outdated childhood survival software? If the answer is yes, take a deep breath. You now have the knowledge to see the trap for exactly what it is, and the science to prove you have the power to write a brand new operating system. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks an amazing new journey of self-discovery for you.